So today I want to talk about something that has been talked about over and over and over again, so on and so forth on so many advice channels, to the point where it gets bandied about and repeated without even the slightest bit of criticism or critical thought at this point by all the streaming advice channels out there. Say it with me now. Twitch is an oversaturated platform. So if you want to grow on Twitch, you have to be making content on other more discoverable platforms. But is that really true? Let's talk about it. Welcome back to episode 6 of Ria's Streaming Blog, the show where I talk about my experiences as a content creator and share my stories and experiences over the last 6.5 years in the hopes that I can provide yet another different take on all the advice I see from other content creators out there and speak as another creator still looking to find her way in this wide open world. Today I want to talk about one of the most common pieces of advice out there from the various channels. Pretty much every single one of them is going to say something of the following. If you want to grow on whatever platform, you got to find your niche, you got to find your audience, then deliver the content that your audience wants to see. The standard marketing advice. Well, as it turns out, ladies, gentlemen, non binary pals, there may well be such a thing as too niche as well. And I want to talk about that today, since it seems to go really under discussed in the videos that I've seen so far. There's so much content about there. If you're playing something wildly oversaturated like Fortnite or Apex Legends or Valorant or what have you, it's going to be hard to get noticed in crowds with thousands of other people. However, there's not a lot of attention given to the opposite of issue. How do you grow beyond and expand beyond a niche that you've already established? And that's what I want to talk about today, because that's the challenge I'm facing as a content creator. But wait, some of you are asking, you're just a no name, you don't have a niche, nobody knows who the hell you are. That's a fair point. And I promise in the future I will do a video offering my advice about how to think critically about advice. Um, because I fully admit that I might not know where the hell I'm talking about, but humor me on this episode because I objectively disagree with you. I will demonstrate that yes, my speedrunning content does fulfill a small niche that is underserved and might reasonably be searched up. To show you, I'm going to go to YouTube, and for the sake of fairness, I'm going to go into incognito mode just to make sure my cookies aren't influencing results in any manner. And I realize this is not a perfect scientific study, but it should be good, especially if you live in an English speaking locale. I'm going to go and search on YouTube for Legend of Legaia speedrun, and oh my gosh, what do I find? A couple of my videos for marathons, and then some of my own videos, and then more of my other videos. I also look up Legaia 2 speedrun, and that's a pretty similar story. And then I looked up Star Ocean 2 speedrun. That looked like more of the same. It was my videos and a couple of other people's videos as well. That's what I talked about in my first episode. How do you grow out of your little niche and try different types of content? And this vlog is one of the ways in which I'm doing so. At least I'm trying. We hear about this all this time about oversaturated games, but I want to talk a little bit about my experiences with undersaturated games too, since that's a lot less talked about. The short summary is it's a lot easier to get out of the zero viewer rut that a lot of streamers complain and whine about. With a sparsely populated game like Legaia or Star Ocean, it's definitely the case that demand for those streams is quite low, but supply is even lower to the point where it's pretty common to not have anybody on Twitch streaming those games for a substantial period of time. Which means it's pretty easy to get noticed on Twitch if you play a game like that. And some people might just wander in and click on your channel just because you're playing one of those games. That might include me, by the way. However, you should be aware of a few caveats. First, it is harder to grow beyond a certain level somewhere. Legaia and Star Ocean 2 only have a few thousand followers each, and even the bigger games that I run are only 50, 100, 120,000 followers on Twitch. Just a rough guideline of how much viewer demand there is for these games. To put in perspective, some lesser saturated games that I often hear advice channels talking about to stream if you want to grow, such as Terraria, Stardew Valley, those are looking at 1 to 1.5 million followers. And the most popular, most oversaturated games, 25 to 50 plus million followers. In my experience as well, if you're playing a really niche game, it seems to be somewhat harder to convert people into a follower and then into a regular, especially if you're more variety and you kind of move on from one game to another, as opposed to being someone like me who's a speedrunner who's going to play the same game over and over and over again, or a challenge runner or similar. The number of people who come in looking for the game is going to be higher in the larger games, just supply and demand. But at the same time, when there are 4,000 people streaming Fortnite, viewers can pick or choose who they want to watch. But if there's one person playing Legend of Gaia and you really want to watch a stream of Legaia, then you're kind of stuck. And you might get people who come in and they just want to watch the game and they don't really care who's playing it. Growth is still going to require that you be engaging and entertaining and get people to want to stick around, even if you do have a little bit of an edge getting some people to click on your channel as compared with a more saturated game. It's a lot harder to break through. I'm envious of streamers who played more viewed games and grew a lot faster than I did as a result. That's not advice to get jealous. My advice is not to get jealous, but I also don't want to sugarcoat my experiences and I don't want to give off this facade that I'm a better streamer, a better person than I really am. As much as I wish it were true, it's not, and I would be doing y'all a disservice if I were not being forthright about my own struggles and shortcomings. The fact is, there are more successful streamers than I am who are offering their advice on YouTube and they can actually point to a pedigree of success on the platforms. But at the same time, just as I mentioned a few episodes back, it's also useful to hear from peers as well as coaches. The fact is, even if you follow these four simple tips, number three will shock you, by the way, you're not going to blow up from 20 to 200 viewers in 2 months. So I guess what I'd say is this: there are a lot of paths that lead to failure, but there's also a lot of paths that lead to success, even if it does involve bucking the best, most genuine advice from the most learned and accomplished creators out there. For every rule out there, there's at least one successful content creator who's either disregarding or outright flouting that advice. And just the same, there are people who are successful streamers who play the most popular, most oversaturated games and don't produce content on any other platform. And there are people who play the most obscure, dead games, long forgotten by the mainstream Twitch community, who also have success. If you found this video interesting, helpful, or you just want to support me, please consider slamming that like button to help it get boosted by that algorithm. And next time, I'm going to talk about something that I've needed to get off my chest for a while now. But until then, stay hydrated, my friends.